Your Magnificence Rector, Professor Kropf, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, my sincere apologies for not being able to physically join you on this auspicious day in the Wageningen University calendar. Key contractual commitments in the UK and complicated travel logistics have unfortunately prevented me from being with you as was originally planned. However, I do hope to be able to come to Wageningen on a future occasion. I should very much have liked to be in Wageningen, as I had many interactions with the university and with the Netherlands academic community in the past. These include my first contact with Professor Alexander Sender, a well-known professor previously at your university, which has intensified in the recent past since he has joined us in Singapore as a key advisor and also as a member of the University Board of Trustees here at NTU. I also regret not being able to meet with Professor Rudi Rabinge, with whom I have interacted in the development of the Institute Paralimes, an activity which I intend to remain in close contact with. Rudi, I'm sure you will be pleased to learn that we are developing similar programs now at NTU, and we have only just completed a really successful event on complexity, which is part of establishing a complexity institute here at NTU. As the former chief of the European Science Foundation, I enjoyed many close contacts with the Dutch research community, especially, of course, the NWO, but also with many universities in the Netherlands, including, of course, Wageningen. However, since 2007, I have been in Singapore, and I've had the privilege, first as provost and now as president of NTU, of being part of the rapid Asian progress with respect to research and innovation. Singapore, as you all may be aware of, is a unique city-state. It is a truly vibrant place and a very successful economically, and yet it is a city without a geographical hinterland. Thus, it had to develop, in the words of its founding leader, Lee Kuan Yew, a global hinterland which has had to rely on the abilities and energy of its people. It has succeeded, possibly beyond even its own high expectations, and today it is a significant world and regional player. A measure of its progress is that a recent analysis by Forbes magazine shows Singapore as the third richest country in the world, measured by GDP in US dollars per capita. Singapore, despite its lack of natural resources, does have one major geographical advantage, which is the underlying reasons for its existence. That is its position astride key sea trade routes, and because now Singapore sits midway between the Asian giants of China and India, and also close to the resource-rich and populous Indonesia, while being, at the same time, the crossroads where East meets West. It is proud of its record under the rule of law, especially the protection of intellectual property rights, which makes it attractive as a base for inward investments by multinational companies operating in the whole Asia-Pacific region. It uses 4 official languages, of which English provides the country with a substantial advantage, not least in higher education and research, of course. I like to think of Singapore as Asia Light, indeed, East meets West. Since independence as late as 1965, it has moved rapidly to become a major world center of entrepot trade through its port, the leading petrochemical center for the Asian-Pacific region, one of the world's busiest and largest financial centers, a leading and popular tourist attraction, and a hub for air travel, and now, more recently, also a center for aero engine production, as well as manufacturing center in its own right. It has achieved a truly well-balanced economy with ambitions for the future, based very firmly on advanced knowledge. In Europe, as you're well aware, we have talked much about knowledge-based economies. Singapore, I would say, has been able to match this rhetoric with real investments, especially in higher education and research, with its government sees it as a key to its continuing prosperity. In other words, it is going from talking to doing, something that we really should do more also in Europe. Through the institutions of National Agency of Science, Technology and Research, A*STAR, a research-performing institution, and the two big universities, NTU and NUS, there has been a dramatic increase in research investments as measured by GERD, the gross expenditure of research as a proportion of GDP. Second out in its investment plans and targets in a series of 5-year R&D plan, has the ambition of reaching 3.5% in the next 5 years, which will put it in an exclusive group of small, smart countries such as Israel, Sweden, and Finland. The decision has been to 2015 increase the budget for research by 20% to a final settlement figure of approximately 20 billion Singapore dollars. This is an impressive figure for any economy, and especially for a country of only around 5 million inhabitants. But these investments are not just altruistic in terms of developing intellectual endeavors. It is clearly seen in terms of promoting the Singapore economy, which much of the investments being of a more downstream character and linked with the promotion of innovation and entrepreneurship. Singapore expects, sometimes unreasonably one could say, to see this investment in research pay off quickly in economic developments. Its research and innovation policy is intimately linked to the economy. One has to remember, however, that a 10-year lead time, which is often the case in research, represents 1/4 of the country's brief history since independence, in contrast, of course, to the long history of European nations. I guess this is one explanation for Singapore's well-known impatience with lengthy lead times. Let me now turn to the example of my own university, the Nanyang Technological University, or NTU as we say, as an interesting case study within the Singapore strategy. It started as Nanyang University, the only university using Chinese outside mainland China already in 1955. This university, however, was eventually closed in 1979, but re-emerged as NTU, a fully fledged university in 1991, but principally as a technical university and with English as its working language. It is now, today, one of the largest, if not the largest, engineering university in the world, but since 2003, it is becoming more comprehensive, and most importantly, it has become a truly research-intensive university. Ranked in the top 60 of the world's universities, according to the QS ranking, it is the youngest university in the top hundreds, and now also one of the fastest rising. It has become increasingly competitive in terms of national external research funding, and this increase is about 6 to 7-fold, and thus quite spectacular in the last 5 years or so. NTU is now the partner of choice for many eminent US universities, the Russell Group of Research Universities in the UK, leading academic institutions in France, Germany, Israel, and Sweden, as well as many in Australia, China, Korea, and Japan. We will certainly welcome increased collaboration with institutions in the Netherlands. We strongly believe in the globalization trend in the higher education sector, and this is seen in the very strong international character of the university all the way through faculty, postgraduate and undergraduate students. In fact, we are classified as the 6th most international university in the world, with 70% of our professors hailing from over 70 nationalities. These include very senior personalities from leading world universities who have chosen to leave their alma maters and come to NTU. Examples are Carrie C. From Caltech, a tenured professor at Caltech and a member of the National Academy in Washington. He resigned from Caltech and is now a professor at NTU. Daniela Rhodes from the famous LMB in Cambridge, FRS, has also come to Singapore. Stephen Smith, the previous principal of Imperial College and head of St. Mary's Hospitals, have also chosen to come to Singapore. Stephen Schuster from Heidelberg, originally, and classified as the 15th, signed to all categories according to the time, one of the experts in fast genome sequencing, has also settled down here in Singapore, and there are many, many other examples. Specifically, in relation to the Netherlands, we are very pleased to welcome your former Prime Minister to NTU in 2011 to address our School of International and Strategic Studies, a very major world player in international strategic studies, and we have excellent working links with your embassy here in Singapore, both separately and through EU mechanism. In terms of students' exchange, the Netherlands ranked number 5 in student mobility at NTU when compared to all partner institutions. In the current academic year, the number of students we received was 64, which represent about 7% of our incoming exchange students. Most come from Maastricht University, and we have unfortunately not yet have any exchange students from Wageningen to NTU, so that could be a future discussion point, of course. We have developed a detailed research strategy based upon 5 peaks of excellence, which is one plank of which we are building our reputation. And we hope that we can achieve the preeminence that Wageningen has achieved in agriculture and related sciences. The 5 peaks are sustainable earth, built around water research, also a Dutch speciality, and energy research, risk management, and research centers of excellence in earth science, especially tectonics and volcanology, and in biofilms linking life science with engineering. These peaks have so far attracted as much as 830 million Singapore dollars in external and also competitive funding. Now there is a development of green technology, science, and business park adjacent to our campus, in which our energy and water institutions will be key anchor tenants to attract green technology companies. This is what I many times term turning green into gold. Other peaks are healthcare and life science. building on our new medical school, a joint project with Imperial College London, who will, for the first time, will leave South Kensington and endeavor in a big academic project in Singapore. Hereby, we are focusing on the combination of engineering and medicine to link biotech and meditech in translational research. New media, interactive digital media in which engineering and art are at the forefront, and we have some spectacular success in terms of spin-off. Then there is what I call the new Silk Road. Very much an East meets West activity and building on our partnership, especially in China and India. We now have the support of the Singaporean Economic Development Board to create a center to study Asian markets and Asian branding, and we have received a huge investment for the social sciences to understand psychological factors operating in these big markets. We also, interestingly, run postgraduate master programs aimed at educating Chinese officials, the so-called Chinese Mayor's Program, especially in public administration, which automatically gives NTU a very strong position in China through very powerful alumni. We benefit also from the Singaporean funding system that focuses much of its effort on downstream research, as well as including a 10% overhead specifically devoted to the development of innovation through the support of the cost of patenting, discovering, and developing spin-off resulting from the research which has been supported. This is a particular feature of funding from the new National Research Foundation and also from the Economic Development Board I mentioned before. In this latter case, there is also strong encouragement for industrial collaboration with the university. It should point out that this innovation support also extends to the social sciences, and I have already mentioned the work that we are doing in relation to Asian markets. Then there is the support of training, especially for people from SMEs, another aspect of academic industrial collaboration, and the process of taking ideas to market through people, a particular effective means of technology transfer. This brings me on to the fifth and final of our 5 peaks in our strategy, and that is innovation. We have established a strong innovation center to support not only faculty, but also students, including undergraduates, to develop and commercialize ideas. We had some notable success, including spin-off on new materials for biodegradable drug-eluting vascular stents for controlling drug delivery. And Game Lab, a very successful digital media company providing designs for gaming. The extensive range of research in the Nanyang Environmental and Water Research Institute has led to spin-off companies and exploitable intellectual properties in areas such as centers for membrane technology in water reclamation and desalination and bioprocesses for industrial effluent treatment and microbial processes for energy recovery from wastewaters. In energy, we have a new spin-off company uniquely dedicated to using entropy measurements on batteries to assess the state of the battery and its charge, leading to enhanced battery safety and extended life. Other examples of a successful spin-off are in the area of advanced diamond thin film deposition. We have also a number of spin-offs in the robotic area that are worth mentioning. This spin-off activity is coupled with education and training in the principles and practice of entrepreneurship through our Nanyang Technopreneurship Center, which not only provides training, but has exchange programs with the United States, and we also provide entrepreneurship training in Chinese, attracting a lively interest from Chinese students. However, training and also innovation development and spin-offs are not the only route to moving discoveries into the economy. Close research collaboration with technology-based multinational companies combines both globalization and technology transfer at NTU. We have pursued this approach as a very effective means of technology transfer. There are a number of elements for a successful partnership with industry, which also includes the joint supervision of PhD students, provision of laboratory space for companies on campus, and joint intellectual exploitation agreements. Here the university can leverage on the expertise and infrastructure of the companies. Key examples of our collaboration, which has tended to be with European multinational companies, are Rolls-Royce, EADS, Siemens, Bosch, Thales, Vestas, Infineon, and ST Micro. By this open approach, the university has become a magnet, I would say, for innovative industry, which also benefits by this close association in the recruitment of highly educated and skilled people. Another example of technology transfer through people. For example, our collaboration with Robert Bosch has joint supervision of a dozen or so PhD students, in which Bosch also shares in the funding. Singapore has used its research investment to recruit talent at several levels at the same time as developing its indigenous brain power. It has recruited bright young students at the undergraduate and postgraduate level and is generous in its support. Then there is recruitment of the very brightest postdoctoral researchers through a national research foundation scheme modeled, I would say, on the first established by the ESF when I was chief executive, URI, the European Research Young Investigator, later transformed into the RCE Young Investigator Award. Then there is also the recruitment of established senior researchers, as I mentioned before, who can nucleate new advanced research groups. In this way, we have been able to leapfrog in the upper league of international university in a unique way, I would say, high-level academia, but also practical with industrial collaboration. This shows that in the future in Europe, we can not only worry about brain drain to the US, but also to Asia. The flow of brains has gone from being bipolar to being tripolar. Finally, and almost unique to Singapore, is the recruitment of top universities to establish focused research activities in Singapore linked to the local universities and industry. This initiative is called the Campus for Research Excellence and Technological Expertise, CREATE. Again, NTU is the partner of choice for most of these incoming top institutions, which include MIT, Berkeley, Technion in Israel, and from Europe, ETH, and the Technical University in Munich, with proposals from Cambridge University Imperial College in the pipeline. The project with the Technical University in Munich, for example, is on electromobility, and is bringing in a major foreign institution in collaboration with NTU, and at the same time leads to interaction with a leading German car maker. So although Singapore and NTU in particular has a global approach, that is not to say that we are complacent. Universities worldwide have to do more to combine research with environments that encourage entrepreneurship and innovation. And we know that we have to devote a major effort to achieve success in these areas. However, through our innovation policies and close and intimate industrial collaborations with major multinational technology companies, we have a platform for the further development of research and innovation, all taking place within an environment provided by the Singapore government through well-funded research and innovation investments. The European Union and its member state has here a global challenge in order to compete in an intense global market, considering the rapid rise of Asian universities, and Singapore and NTU is one example. So, thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you all a joyful evening and a good dinner, I'm sure, with some good glasses of wine and maybe also a glass of Genever. Again, I wish I could be there tonight. Thank you very much.